Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm recording the AEW Fyter Fest reaction the morning after for a couple reasons. Number one, consuming a 4 hour broadcast, you need a little bit of time to do that. Number two, I discovered perhaps my new favorite TV show after two episodes, Love Island USA. Great show. It's on Peacock. I can't wait for tonight's episode. Apparently, it's on every night. I think 6 out of 7 days. So I can't wait. It is. I am the king consumer of trash TV. I've been waiting for a show that has come close to rivaling the the glory days of Jersey Shore, and I think we found it with Love Island. But you didn't come here for that. You came here for an AEW reaction, and I'm just gonna say this: they are improving. They are improving their spark with AEW. Is it perfect? Not even close. Is it? Are some of the things that we've talked about in the past? Does it leave a little bit left to be desired? Sure. But the wrestling, and that's my big takeaway. It's not a new take, but the wrestling will always give you something to chew on. The wrestling will always leave you satisfied. I think sometimes sometimes it's hard to take on legitimate criticism and find something that works, find a formula that works. But my intention was to only watch the 2 hour Dynamite portion of the broadcast. That was my intention. But hey, they hooked me through Collision, the Collision half of Fyter Fest. Will Ospreay, that angle, that hooked me in. Hangman Page. We finally got a little bit of a face-off with Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. So those things hooked in. And kudos to Tony Khan for not only booking Okada and Omega, but also kudos to Tony Khan for booking this as a winner-take-all, I hope, unification match with the International Championship and a Continental Championship. We mentioned they need to cut down on the number of titles that they have. It just made no sense for Omega and Okada not to face off at this point. Your biggest show of the year, All In. Let's see what happens too now, because no Young Bucks involvement. My fear is the Young Bucks are going to kind of ruin this feud a little bit here. The backdrop's there with Omega and Okada, but I want them to focus solely on those two. Okada was a huge signing for AEW, but to this point, over the last year or so, he's been wasted. In terms of comedy, in terms of that one line B word that he's always said. He's been wasted. And this guy is a world caliber talent that people have been excited to see compete and wrestle. So they got 6 weeks here to really jumpstart this thing. They're going to have a contract signing next week. I know the Young Bucks probably have to be involved in this feud in some way, shape, or form, but limit them. Okay? The Young Bucks don't draw money. Okada and Omega, they draw money. So, more Young Bucks involvement, less money in your pocket if you're AEW. So, keep the Young Bucks away. You're going to have a money feud with Omega and Okada. You know, watching this has made me realize, too, that Moxley and John Cena have a similar problem. Moxley is a little bit more in depth because it's long term, but they both have a similar problem. their stories, both of them have never been fully explained. So when you're going for high-level championship feuds, even if the effort is at its best, you don't get the sense of natural fulfillment that you would with a completed story. Like, I'm watching the Death Riders, and if you take away, like, if you just envision the Death Riders as, oh, these are bad guys, and Hangman is a good guy, and Hangman is going to be his own man, Hangman's going to find a way to win the world title, and that's it, and bring it home, and then do it on behalf of the company, and bring it home. I would understand that. I would get all that. But when you know that certain things are incomplete, like the Death Rider's story, except for the one basement promo, they've never really explained who they are and their purposes. I understand long-term storytelling, but the championship reign is about to end. And the foundation of the Moxley championship run has made no sense. Moxley, to me right now, without the world title, does not look like the top star in AEW. It just looks like another match. Yeah, Ospreay is telling me that this match is a big deal. Hangman is telling me that this match is a big deal. I see the graphic on the corner of the screen saying that this is a big deal. It's for a world title. But the champion doesn't look like a big deal. So why bother? Why bother? And I think if you have a foundational issue with AEW, in particular that main event scene, that might be it. The Hurt Syndicate, I'll tell you, they have moments where they really, really, really look impressive. I understand that they're trying to put new teams over and, veterans of the game. They're not like, nobody wants to be looked at as like the 90s WCW main event scene of pushing everybody down. Unless you're Becky Lynch, then it's a story. But nobody wants to be looked at that way. The danger, though, is that there are certain teams and there are certain people that honestly should look dominant until somebody comes along. I didn't like the fact that the Hurt Syndicate, who I will say, in my opinion, they do look like superstars. Bobby Lashley, from his home, I think it's Denver's his hometown, or he lived in Denver. Sounds like it's his hometown. Bobby Lashley looked like a superstar. Sheldon Benjamin looked like a superstar. And obviously, MJF. And I like the name that MVP gave him. Young Genius. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like, okay. And then MVP is the mouthpiece. The problem that they're in right now, I envision Bobby Lashley as a singles competitor in the championship picture. The bigger vision, obviously, is MJF. Trying to find his way, to weave his way into the championship picture. And we know where it's going, where he will take on the winner, we think, of Mox and Hangman. But because they're so unselfish as talents, they're made to put, in my opinion, inferior teams over in order to set up matches. The team that they fought last night, 4-hour show, I didn't write notes, I forgot their names, but they're going to face off next week. I didn't like the setup of, MVP sends his group down, kick their ass, sends them down, and then they get their behinds kicked. And look, I understand that's the traditional way of setting up angles, but the Hurt Syndicate, to me, when I watched them, they're levels above everyone else. They should not be taking beatings by inferior talent when they're just being introduced by inferior talent. Find another way to set up the match. And it's a non-title. You can just do the match, because next week's a non-title match. Do the match, and I want to see that other team, hey, find, yeah, the Hurt Syndicate may dominate, but you find little sparks, find little moments where you could overcome and win the match. Last thing, Tekla, I think that's her name. And I apologize if I mispronounced her name. But I thought this is a case where AEW did an excellent job of telling me that a new talent is important. In the past, AEW would just roll out, hey, this is a dream match, or this is a huge acquisition, and like, this is a huge signing. And that's that. No background, no video package. They just roll it out and assume that the fans know. I love the video package that they said, like, hey, Tekla, like, she's dangerous. She was fired from Stardom because she choked out the president of Stardom. And that's a no-go in their company. That's a no-go. And, like, she's probably the most dangerous woman to enter AEW. I was on the fence about watching Collision, sticking around and watching Collision through DVR, because I'm not sent through commercials. But the video package, the announcers on both shows, explaining how important she is. The debut match with Lady Frost, another person who I didn't really know, but the debut match, impressive. It's little things. And AEW is starting to come around on those little things, and it's made their shows better. It's made their shows a lot better. Even video packages. I've seen a few weeks ago, there were no video packages. The show that Kyle reviewed, and I watched too. No video packages. Throughout yesterday's shows, video packages to set things up. If you're going to do a 4-hour show, having angles to set things up later on. I have no interest in the Ring of Honor TV Championship, but the angle, Christian Cage explaining the importance of this challenge to Nick Wayne, and then, boom, Nick Wayne has this match, and it's the 4-way, and, all these guys are in it. It's little things. I think the tricky thing about having a 4-hour show, and I understand why they have to do it, again, for me, I personally would prefer you move Collision to Thursdays. You could beat Impact. Move Collisions to Thursdays. Have Dynamite on Wednesdays, Collision on Thursdays. You have your 1-2 punch in the middle of the week where all people are talking about is AEW, and you can actually consume and think about the product and actually consume it. And you have less you're preempted less. But listen, I can't tell you the last time I sat through a Collision. So I guess the 4-hour thing worked. I'm not advocating for it. I probably won't watch the 4-hour show in full next week. Ain't no way. And actually, I'll be honest, I skipped through some of the matches. I skipped through the FTR match. I skipped through a couple other things during the Collision. I completely skipped the 8-man tag main event. Oh, let me mention one other thing. And this is sad for me. Adam Cole is getting reactions. This is an at-home reaction. People in the crowd may feel differently. Adam Cole does not look like a star at all. Adam Cole does not look like a star. I look at Adam Cole and I say, How in the world can anybody lose to him? And I don't. Yes, that was a Vince McMahon type reaction. I don't need all bodybuilders. Small guys can succeed. My two favorite wrestlers of all time are CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. So I have no issue with small guys. Gotta have some meat. Maybe it's the presentation. Maybe it's just me. I don't even do tank tops. I'm not fit for it. But I can't do cut-off shirts, like sleeveless shirts with your body half exposed and you have no muscle. It doesn't work. No homo. It doesn't work. But, hey, the wrestling was great overall with Fyter Fest. Wrestling was great. And the downsizing of the crowds have made the shows feel more electric. The crowd was into it the entire night. And throughout the entire 4 hours, you got pretty good wrestling. Pretty good to great wrestling. So, this video was a little longer because they asked us to review 2 shows, basically. So, there you go. That's my reaction to AEW. Oh, and kudos to Mercedes Moné for the steak dinner and barely eating the steak. I think that is a complete heel move. All right, full podcast coming at you tomorrow morning, recapping everything that we talked about this week, plus getting into some things heading into Money in the Bank. All right, have a good one.